that might be the case. How did I know?
They started 5 NBA players. They had a darn good team.
Yeah, absolutely. They did. Well, you know who else has a darn good team? The Miami Heat. It is all about the Heat culture. They are on the clock now. I was remiss not to put them toward the top when I was mentioning the Celtics, when I was mentioning the Miami Heat. What is it, Perk, about that Heat culture that we hear so much about that just develops these young players?
You know what? It starts at the top, right? Eric Spoelstra, you look at his story, right? He started at the bottom, worked his way all the way up to the top to a head coach, and now one of the best head coaches in the game. And then you look at we call him an OG or big brother in Udonis Haslem, right? Who contains and hold that locker room accountable, who's the extension of that coaching staff. And by the way, when your front office like Pat Riley have your back the way that they do, Eric Spoelstra, it goes a long, long way for us holding guys accountable and making sure guys are ready.
Well, let's take a look at the Miami Heat's journey this season because they were the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference. They had 53 wins. That's the most since 2014. And then Tyler Hero, he caught some heat at the beginning of the season for saying he should be in the same conversation with guys like Luka Doncic. Well, then he went on to win 6th Man of the Year. They reached the East Finals for the 2nd time in 3 seasons. They lost in a thrilling Game 7 to the Celtics. Jay, when you have a young player coming out of college, coming out of the G League, and they're put into this established system like the Miami Heat, how does that separate these players?
Well, you're going to emulate what you're around. So, I mean, I used to have a coach that jokes, you put a player in a locker room full of knuckleheads, you're going to get a knucklehead out at the end of it. But that's a locker room full of winners. I think Miami's culture is great because they measure their body fat every 5 minutes.
I don't want to be there. I don't want to do that.
Thankfully, they don't do that for broadcasters.
See, yeah, because we're going to Shake Shack after this.
Darn right.
Well, it's one of the things that's open after all of this is done. Again, I know I've asked you a couple of times, but when you're looking sort of at who you might see as a fit here, who would you be taking?
Well, if you're looking at best available, we've talked about some of these players, whether it's E.J. Liddell from Ohio State, Jaden Hardy, the G League, Ignite. There are, you got some foreign players too. Nikola Jovic from Serbia.
Not Jokic.
Not Jokic. That'd be a good pick there too if you could get him. But he's still on the board. Bryce McGowan's from Nebraska still on the board. I think there's an interesting player still available and maybe available in the 2nd round. It's Christian Coloco from Arizona, who is not just a shot blocker. He can guard and switch off on perimeter players and stay with them for a whole possession. He doesn't just guard them for 2 dribbles.
But, Jay, it's still one more Duke guy on the board, Trevor Kidd.
Yeah, Trevor,
right?
Yeah.
You don't want Trevor to get all the Dukies out the way. But you know what? I think when I look at, again, I'm going to keep harping on Hardy. I think he's a guy that could come in and have immediate impact. I think he's a elite scorer. His game will adjust to the league, and I think, for him, if he could get drafted, if the Miami Heat actually picks him, he's a guy that will come in and fit in right away for his impact in the game. I mean, he's that special in my opinion. I really like this.
And I wonder where a guy like Andrew Nembhard of Gonzaga is going to wind up, because I think he's the best passer in this draft. He may not be a spectacular athlete, but he knows how to play. And Miami does covet guys that know how to play. I'm not saying he should go in this spot, but I'm going to be interested to see where he winds up in this draft because I think he's a valuable asset.
Well, Miami Heat covets guys who know how to play and who are willing to play hard. That is such a fundamental part of what the Miami Heat do. Let's take a look at some of their key players that are down in Miami. I mean, we know them. It's Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, and Bam. What do you say, Perk? Bam out of the bio?
Bam out of the bio.
Bam out of the bio. Bam out of bio. Yeah, see, I see exactly what you're doing there. But he's another player who, in the playoffs, we saw him take some steps forward and then towards the Eastern Conference Finals struggle a little bit to find his rhythm. He said, I know that the team goes sometimes as I go. When I can find my offensive rhythm, because, Jay, he had no problem on defense. It was finding that offensive rhythm that he needed a little bit of help with.
Yeah, I mean, but one thing about Bam is that the thing that I love about him is that he holds himself accountable. And I love Eric Spoelstra has said after one game in the postseason, we don't need Bam to be aggressive for us offensively to look to score for himself, but to make others around him better. And that's one of the underrated things about his game. We look at his points and we say, hey, he could go out there and get you 18 to 20 a night, and we know he could rebound at an extremely high level, but he's a guy that could go out there and get you 5 to 10 assists. Hell, he could get a triple-double if he wants to, just off his playmaking ability.
And that's something Miami evaluated when he was at Kentucky that I'm not sure I saw, is that how high level a passer Bam Adebayo was.
Well, let's see who is headed down to South Beach. The pick is in. Let's send it back to NBA Commissioner Adam Silver to see who exactly it is.
I have another trade to announce. As part of a trade to be finalized later, the Philadelphia 76ers are trading to the Memphis Grizzlies the draft rights to David Roddy, the 23rd pick. And with the 27th pick in the 2022 NBA draft, the Miami Heat select Nikola Jovic from Belgrade, Serbia.
Don't surprise me one bit.
Why not, Big Perk?
Because we know he's a sniper. We know he's a shooter.
Nikola Jovic. He was born in England. He moved to Serbia at 9, and he started playing basketball at 13. Jay, what will make him successful, do you think, in the NBA?
He's super skilled at that size. He can shoot it, he can put it on the deck, and he can pass it. You know, he's unusually skilled at that size.
Bobby Marks has been entrenching himself with these international players. Bobby, what have you seen from him?
Well, Malika, as you said, he didn't start playing basketball until he was 13 years old. He is a former water polo player, grew 8 inches in the last 5 years here, and has the skills of certainly of a point guard. He's got length to shoot over smaller defenders here. You could put him on the court right now. And at the FIBA U19s a year ago, shot 36% from 3, made all-tournament team here. Another nice pickup for the Miami Heat. Something they lacked when you got into the playoffs is that stretch four that can kind of come off the bench and make shots for you.
Well, some fans may be rubbing their eyes like, wait, I've seen a similar name to that before. That's because there's another notable Serbian player, a 2-time MVP, in fact, that sounds a little bit like him. That would be Nikola Jovic, not to mention Bogdan Bogdanovic. And you can see some notable Serbian players who played in the NBA, both past and present.